Greetings, beloved. I'm Dr. Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach here at the historic First United Methodist Church in downtown Elgin, Illinois, with another motivational moment from the Bible. These motivational moments are designed to help you take what you hear in church on Sunday, what you learn in Sunday school, what you may even read during your private devotional time, to take those biblical concepts and to make them a part of your everyday life. This week, I want us to focus in on this idea. Jesus Christ, you are not the boss of me. You are not the boss of me, which we all know is not true, right? Even as this passage from 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and 19 says, we have been bought with a price. That what it means is that you and I have been blood bought. We have been purchased by the blood of the Lamb, and therefore we are not our own. We are not here to do things our own way. But many of us live the way that we want to live. We do the things that we want to do. This past Sunday was Christ the King Sunday. It is the last Sunday of the Christian year. In it, we remember that Christ is King. He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But often, we don't know what we mean by that. So if you'll indulge me just for a few moments, I want to go through a quick slide presentation, see if I can explain it better, and then I'll be right back. Okay? Thanks. When we hear Christ the King, we often think about Jesus coming at the end of time with all of his angels to conquer once and for all his enemies, which we often think are our enemies, but to conquer all manner of evil and to lead us and welcome us home to that heavenly kingdom as his children. But really to understand what Christ the King means for us that are still here on this side of heaven means that we have to take a look at the very foundation of sin. And really the very foundation of sin centers around three temptations. They're faced by Adam and Eve in the garden, they're faced by Jesus, and they're faced by every human being, according to 1 John 2 and 16. The first temptation is to be relevant, or what 1 John 2 and 16 says, the lust of the flesh. We all want to be important. There's nothing wrong with being important. But the truth of the matter is, are we going to be relevant and important and needed based on our own strength or what we desire, or based on what God desires? The temptation that Jesus faced in the wilderness to be relevant was to make stones into bread. Yes, he needed food, and the people needed food around him, but it was outside of God's time. The second temptation that we all face is to be spectacular, or what 1 John 2 and 16 calls the lust of the eyes. For Jesus, it was throw yourself off of this mountain because God surely has given his angels charge over you. And yes, God had given Jesus supernatural and spectacular powers, but they weren't to be used based on what Jesus wanted to do, but used to bring glory to the Father. The third temptation that all of us face, third temptation, which is at the very heart of sin, is to be powerful, or what the 1 John 2 and 16 calls the pride of life. To be powerful, to be relevant, to be spectacular, to be powerful. And in this one, the devil tells Jesus, if you bow down to me, I will give you all the kingdoms of the world. Well, Jesus is going to get to have all the kingdoms. He gets to be King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Again, it's based on who chooses, either Jesus or the Father. See, beloved, all the needs that Jesus had while he was in the wilderness, and all the needs that you and I have to be relevant, spectacular, and powerful are all legitimate. They're all God-given needs. For Jesus, all of these things are the things that God will do through him, but they will be done for the glory of God and not for his own self-edification. And the same is true for you and I. At the heart of this idea around Christ being the King of Kings, or Christ the King Sunday, is that it is a question of whose will gets to direct what happens in our lives and whose timing. So what's the remedy to all of this? Are you and I called to just accept Jesus as our personal Savior and then live the Christian life on our own terms? Are we called to make God in our own image, or are we to be conformed to his image? Beloved, I believe that what it means when we say Christ the King is that we accept Christ as the Lord and King of our lives. It means that every day that you and I show up for our prayers, we come waiting for instruction. We do not, as it says in Proverbs 3, seek to lean on our own understanding, but in all our ways, in every circumstance, with every issue, we acknowledge God and say, what would you have me to do here? What do I need to know in this situation? Tell me how you would like this done, even if I'm humiliated, even if it doesn't look like it's going to work all right out for me. Tell me what you want. Very simply put, beloved, it means either Jesus is the Lord of all, or he's the Lord, or he's not Lord at all. Beloved, at the heart of understanding Christ as King means that you and I are to glorify him as the King of Kings. That means that you and I are kings and queens to a certain extent. It means that you and I have authority over certain realms, that God has given us stewardship, or what sometimes the Bible refers to as dominion over different things. But they are all of that. You and I, everything we do are to be under the lordship of Christ, to acknowledge that we've been bought with a price, and to acknowledge him as Christ the King, not only for when we get to heaven, but for when we get home. Beloved, you and I are called and given the authority, great authority, to make choices. It's the greatest gift that God gave any human being. It's the only thing that he won't override. He will not override our will. You and I have a choice day by day, moment by moment, to make him the King, the Lord of our lives, which is more exciting to be than for him just to be our Savior. It means that we will live into God's will and destiny for our lives, and that when we get home, we will hear him say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. I don't know about you, but that's a place that I want to live. So, beloved, the challenge this week is to allow Jesus to be King over every area of our lives, over our eating, our breathing, our drinking, our sleeping, to remember that we've been bought with a price, and we're to live for God's will and not our own. I pray you stick around for this week's Refresh Your Soul, which is the song Jesus at the Center of It All, because truly he is at the center of it all. God bless. I'll catch you here next week. I'm Pastor Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach here at the historic First United Methodist Church in downtown Elgin, Illinois.